of 2000, the packet in the bank. It doesn't matter.
Amount because outstanding cleared the, so I did take a, didn't have anything outstanding that hasn't been reconciled, and I took that into account with creating that started for January 1st.
And you had you reported standing items. Reported items that had not. From that. Represented that as when you did accurate reporting, from meaning you were reconciling your expenditures and your contributions, and they were all balancing out from 2019 to date.
Yes, that is correct.
Got it.
The last, the post-gen of 2018 reflects $29,450.65. That would have been the last report for 2018.
And I think that's what I was referring to as my delta on there, that it was around 12 or 13,000 from
And then-
where we started in 2019.
You know, she talks about correcting, et cetera. Checking here. All the rest of the reports then from 2019 forward in the secretary's system are reflected as having been made May 5 to 2021. So
Okay, got it.
they were all updated then at that point and brought forward to where, you know, to where we are today, where the filing of the right, with the refiling of the pre-general, which reflects 34,661.01. But the, as I was looking at here, just as a, that's a pre-primary.
We'll have another report due next.
18.
as well.
Yeah, the 2018 pre-gen showed 26,299.18, and then the post-gen was 29,450. So just as a, you know, contributions came in, money. And that was a brief period of time.
So when those numbers were being reported, if you know, I realize this is before you turn there, but if you know, when in 2018, when that was happening, it went to 36,000, 29,000, was that reflecting the money in the account, or that was just reflecting the paper trail from the prior reports?
I'm not
Mr.
sure.
Strada's here, right?
Yes.
He was the executive director at that time. I want to ask him that question.
I'll start here.
After that.
And then, yes, absolutely. I'm following your lead. Share.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to whether they were just quoting the balance on hand or whether they, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Any questions of the doctor? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Well, I guess for some of us it is.
For all of us.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
And for those that.
Still morning is white.
More on the record. So, please, for Mr. Strada. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Hello.
I cover the waterfront regardless of where you are in the world. So, Commissioner Cunningham, did you have a follow-up question you want to ask Mr. Strada?
Sure, just sort of the same line of questioning. We're just trying to, as a commission, we're trying to put together what happened, how it happened, what you knew and didn't know, to just help us. And we appreciate the cell phone referral, but to help us understand what occurred and the best course to remedy whatever occurs.
So if I'm allowed to the chairman and to the commission to go back a few years.
We would like whatever
great.
explanation you give us.
Okay, excellent. So I came in as ED in the spring or summer of 16, and the transition was, you could say awkward, you could say difficult. And the former ED and the former treasurer, or PAC treasurer, left with the former ED. And so when I came on board, and I believe the current treasurer, Pat Treasurer, came on board, I delegated that task to probably the current Pat Treasurer. And it is my understanding that during the transition, that there were problems in regards to record keeping. Throughout 2016, 2017, 2018, no matter what we did, no matter how much time we spent, I spent, the current treasurer spent weekly on PAC contributions, finances, things like that. We could not reconcile what we had on records versus what was in our bank account. So my time, and again, I'm dating myself 5 years here, having trouble remembering. We did not have the proper documentation from the year. What we currently had 16, 17, 18, and so on.
So would it be fair to say that it goes back before 2016? It's not just a 3-year period.
I think it would be fair to say, I can't say certain, but that was my understanding that whatever we did in 16, 17, 18, let's just 16, we couldn't match up. Some years. That's all. Myself and respect the commission, SOS, all those sorts of things. But again, no matter what we did, we banged our heads against the doors and met with SOS, met with Allison DeSantis during the Houston years, and just kind of threw her hand saying, we can't figure this out.
You had the prior records?
I can't speak to that.
So when you say you couldn't reconcile, what does that mean? What are you telling us? I mean, what could you reconcile? Balance? What does that mean?
Either what was in the bank wasn't matching up with our records, or what we had on paper wasn't matching up with what was in our accounts.
And did you have more money or less money than you expected to have?
If I understand rightly, we probably always had less, so.
Okay.
There goes the red flag.
OSCA never had a large pack. So.
So what was, when you say never had a large pack, what kind of money are we talking about?
Us compared to others?
Just you. How much money was typically in the account?
I would say on average between 25,000 and 30,000.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Any other questions of the commission as to any of the witnesses? Fine, how would the commission like to proceed?
Phil, did we ever get notices from the Secretary of State or referrals or anything?
No.
This is the first time we're hearing about it.
Yes.
Can I clarify one thing?
Sure.
Mr. Strato was testifying as to the current treasurer that he was working with. Dr. Spalding has, since when, has been the treasurer?
Yeah, around the time that I filed the corrective reports.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that was about the current treasurer as of, I think, in the public report, designation of treasurer updated info was filed March 17th, 2021. So since March of 2021, Dr. Spalding has been the treasurer.
Thank you. Commission, how'd you like to proceed this afternoon?
Well, clearly there's a violation. We know that. We clearly know the end goal is to find, give them what the current balance is. I like the fact that it's a self-referral, but I don't like the fact that you're missing $12,000. That's a tough pill for me to swallow.
And I Phil can talk to this, but I think historically when that happens, the commission is typically fined based on the discrepancy.
That has depended. I mean, at one point, and I said this before, I think, just in an effort to try and have the commission be consistent through time, I was recommending that we kind of establish a 10% item. I picked that out of the sky, to be honest with you, but I did that. And I did that a couple of times. And then this is going back former commission members. I can't remember whether it was, I think it was after your time. And the commission said to me, no, we don't like that idea. Because
What did we do in our most recent case, the hat case?
the what case? I mean.
The mega hat case with the county
yeah.
party.
Oh, the
Which was
the
out of
Butler
bounds
County,
because they
yeah,
could not, they couldn't get the numbers right because the money came in with the hats.
right, okay, yes, the Butler County, gosh,
Well, I don't remember what
I
county
think
it
it was
was.
$7,000,
you were saying it was what?
around $7,000, but I'm
I
not.
was thinking it was that much. I was thinking 2000 or
I
20.
think that was the fine.
I was thinking 2000 or
The
25.
right.
discrepancy was
Right.
in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, and I think,
Right,
I vaguely remember something about one of the larger statewide campaigns. I can't remember who it was, so I don't want to throw out any names. But it was one of the major state offices
Oh,
that
yeah.
couldn't reconcile for years.
see here.
And I think they had
Pick up my data.
$40,000.
Right.
Is that district control?
Campaign.
Well, yeah, but anyway, commission at that point said, no, they didn't like the 10% idea, come up with something depending on the circumstances of each particular case. And I've developed, over the years, I've recommended different amounts for different times. My original recommendation when we took this up under preliminary review was to impose a fine of $1,000. That to me looked to be equitable. I'm looking for the Butler County Board of Elections right now in my database. Yeah, so, I want to think that, going back to the TAP and Petro campaigns, we did like $4,000 or $5,000 for them. They were out of balance over 20 years, et cetera. And they had been open a long, long time.
I thought that was like
I
$30,000.
think we need to hold on our deliberations for a
I
moment.
just noticed that.
Okay, yeah, I noticed that as well as I looked back
That'll give-
over.
She was trying to get your attention, Bill, and you won't stop talking.
And I'm out. And I'm out.
We'll go off the record for about 5 minutes.
While we're in recess, informal recess.
I thought, quite frankly, you'd take a short break after Hugh Day.
Try to move along.
There was a break
Ted,
to find you guys.
4 minutes. 4 minutes. Text, from the time I got text, to the time I got chest.
we thought you'd be.
We've already canceled lunch.
Yeah.
Don't send me a text saying you might want to solve the apart. I said I did a half hour ago.
I think I'll be at Wendy's on.
Yeah.
Well, last year.
One more meeting.
When you see us.
Yeah.
Gift cards.
I can certainly go back to it on the record. We impose the funds. County Republic,
Out of the sun.
2,600.
What was the discrepancy? 7,000.
No, more than that.
I don't think it was more than that.
Yeah,
I think it was.
25 or 20 or something.
That's not, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna, we decided that back in November of 19.
May I ask, was that a self-referral or?
Yes.
It was, and they had, had several people come in and give a full explanation.
Similar.
Very similar. Little difference.
All of these are what we're talking about.
Yeah.
They're all
I was gonna say, and I guess I'd say similar to you guys, they work with the Butler County Board of Elections, because that's where they were filing.
Right.
And eventually they got to a point where the Butler County Board said to them, Need to go to the elections
Right.
commission, file a self-referral and throw yourself on their mercy. So that's kind of where they go.
And similar things, they couldn't go back, old bank statements, they couldn't set, just.
Sorry, I was looking at too many other things.
Back.
So we learned that the Butler County,
I'm
telling Back on the record.
We are sitting
learned that the
here.
Butler County fine was $2,600.
Okay, thank you.
But I don't know, we don't know. the
We don't know.
discrepancy. I'd like to know that.
Or known as the.
Case.
Some stuff, right?
Also there.
Yeah.
Get a lot of cash is what they said.
Crazy.
Remember.
Well, you got chat.
Well, have any thoughts? 1,500.
What did you? Pieces we, of the money.
A 10% standard for one of them per phrase. For commission didn't like that standard, let's put it that way.
So we were trying to see relative. At the last, discussed it.
You know that was.
When they gave us.
It's an H drive, it's my drive.
Scott, do you want to make that a motion as opposed to just putting it out there?
All right, I'll put it out as a motion. I move that we find a violation. I move that we find the accounting not to be in order at an amount of $34,661.01, and that we impose a fine of $1,500.
For a second to the motion. For the question on the motion. All in favor? Saying aye. Oh. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Agents too. There was one this morning. It's very Westall.
Kick around.
Next, advisory opinions, are those back on?
Yes, well. Yes, I slipped up there for mentions to that. Discuss, you certainly ask any question. Ask, I think. Fairly. As to the bases for them, they're all sua sponte because. Understatement number one. right
As
there.
I-
That's where you live though, right?
That's where I live.
Both of you.
As I've said, everybody there thinks they're smarter than everybody else,
Because they are.
and they'll tell you.
You doubt your military mind, just ask, I'll tell you. Right. Opinion is 20 ELC dash 0 has to deal. Received a copy of any questions, corrections?
Of course, I have questions.
I was hoping.
My own question. On the in-kind contribution, saying that they have supposed to put about for the in-kind. Are we talking about?
We're just, and we're just declaring that in-kind contribution.
But where I got confused was where you were talking about. Was it in that one? Oh, that's it. No, that's this. Because we talked about a contract after the date that, and then a contribution, and then the date of expenditure.
Oh. What?
Now I'm lost. I was. Super.
Every time I confused. Is. Contribution. On October. One. You reflected as such.
And the contribution's $100. It's worth $150. And I have expenditure for that. The account will never back more than an in-kind contribution. It's that expense.
I have almost AD for chances of contribution. It's $1,000 and that's, an in-kind contribution that I give.
And if it's worth less, I report loss and value as an expenditure.
I would think that's a logical,
You gotta do something to make it work.
right?
This is part of the discussion we also had with the state representative sites too. This is something that probably needs to be looked at on a legislative basis as well.
Right.
So hopefully, whatever this opinion is, will help drive the legislature in that regard, because this is an increasing issue.
I agreed. So I'm just, so when I was with you, and so you started talking about those things, and I'm like, wow, and how does that translate into what we would expect to see on campaign finance reports to make sure that they can reconcile? That's where you lost me.
Well, how do they do it on the federal end? A couple of weeks ago, I sent Phil the actual policy for the FEC.
Right.
And so how do they reconcile?
As I sit here, I don't know that I know the answer to that question, to be honest with you. I'd have to go back to, I think I have the FEC opinion open, and it really only dealt with, I think, receipt.
Yeah.
Receipt similar to how we're dealing with it here.
You know, what you said, if it's worth $100 when you get it, that's what you have to report. It's $100.
Sure. That, which makes sense. The question is the downside.
But if it goes up
The downswing is.
or it goes down,
Right,
Yeah.
up is easier.
Oh, that's right.
Down is harder. Especially you could, it's an expenditure loss of value. It's not really an expenditure. As an in-kind, can you report a negative in-kind?
Only if you get it back.
What an interesting thought.
No.
It seems like no,
Well, I mean, if we're gonna be, I mean, if,
but we're saying it's an in-kind, right?
Yeah, no, it is, that's what's saying.
So if you have a positive in-kind, I suppose if it's valued up, you have a negative in-kind?
so how do they do it for a CD if someone gives you and it?
You get it, I don't know how often that occurs, but you get it at the value, of what it was when you got it from the individual.
But it's a little bit easier
Yeah, that's-
because it's got a cash value,
Cash,
and you're
right.
turning it into a cash
Yeah,
equivalent,
right.
and you're getting an income for that, and you can report that as input to your campaign committee.
Yeah,
But when you start on this, so don't mean to unduly complicate, but
but wouldn't practicality say it was a Bitcoin and it lost value minus $25 or minus $50? I mean, could you not report it that way? I mean, if we're being like just practical
Right.
and common sense, I think would dictate, but that doesn't mean anything, so.
right,
But, I mean, I guess I'm asking, I don't.
that's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
How do you do that?
It's not your typical in kind.
No, right,
no,
right, exactly. So you have a positive, let's say you have an income for $100. And then when you convert it to cash, it's worth $50 and it costs you 10 to convert it. So you would have a $10 expenditure. You'd have 30 in the bank and you'd report a negative in kind of 50. Because you never had the cash.
you'd be lucky if you actually get the cash ever.
What other in-kinds, how many periods do you have to report it on? Don't you only report it on the period that it occurred, that the in-kind?
But you're reporting in really an estimated value, a market value as of that day, but unless you convert it that day, it's just an estimate.
Right.
Can there be parameters put around how quickly you have to?
And
Convert it?
What's the full reasoning that it moved it?
Is it not even our,
Closer to in-kind.
you know what I mean, is it not even
Well,
a
Or
wheelhouse?
cash equivalent.
It doesn't meet the
at the time of
definition,
receipt.
Because the opinion should be considered an
In-kind contribution.
because Bitcoin doesn't meet the definition of a cash.
You have to report $100. Subsequently, it goes up.
So we're saying that, and I
Just
just,
additional
I'm
money
not
in
saying
your
the
bank
opinion
account.
is
You have to
wrong.
report
No.
sometime.
I'm just struggling with, I can just see the complaints coming, which will not be my issue.
Yeah.
So why am I wondering?
Well, why is it an issue?
Well, thank you.
I'm trying to figure it out. If it's worth $100 on December the 1st, and I have to declare that as an in-kind contribution,
Right,
and subsequently it goes up. I didn't cash it in or whatever, and it goes up to 150. At that point, I have to report that $150 in my account at some point.
only when you convert it.
Yeah.
You don't have to report anything until you convert it.
No, I understand that, but even if it goes up, why is that an issue?
Because your account won't balance. Because according to the Secretary of State, you've got a balance of $1,100 because you got $100 in that. And then when you cashed in, if it goes up, now your balance is $1,400 and you don't have any additional contributions unless you report maybe an additional in-kind, which is fine if it goes up because of the increase in value, but that's real value at that point in time, so it's determinable, so it's probably income. But if it goes down and you lose money and you report it as 100, your account's not gonna balance either. It's gonna be too much.
I don't know, I must be missing something. When I read that FEC, all they said was, as soon as you get that, on receipt, that is the amount you have to declare as in kind. What happens after that is a reporting issue you have to square.
Figure out, which is fine, except Phil's opinion kind of goes beyond. If you stop at the first part of, at the time of the contribution, this is the value you report as an in-kind, and don't go down the stream of what happens when you cash it in and the values that, then I have no issues. But when you start talking about that, then I wonder how we're telling them what you do then, how the heck do you report the discrepancies? Because there likely will be some.
Yeah, and that's actually in the one paragraph where it says, however, unlike other in-kind contributions, it goes on to say, cryptocurrency is both volatile and highly valued in the marketplace. And it is critical that the attributed value be properly reflected on the date that's accepted. And then it is critical that the campaign contributions of cryptocurrency be subject to highest contribution limit. So, I mean, I think that we're not attributing for the increase or decrease. So there's nowhere.
Yeah, but he says that when he's talking about the conversion.
Right.
Right. Well, what the FEC, though, the little bit, I mean, I've been scanning this opinion here, says the earnings or losses realized upon the sale of any Bitcoins purchased from funds transferred from a campaign depository must be reported like any other investment earnings or losses.
Yeah.
Such earnings or losses should be valued as discussed above.
That's what I said, so I think I did it for the loss.
Not well,
Really nice.
not at the time when you receive it, it's gonna have some sort of value.
Yeah, I got no issue about the time you receive it.
She's talking about the time of conversion.
Right, because you talk about time of conversion and I'm like,
Where'd that go?
Did you hear anything from Ms. Tavares?
She's in a conference, she's not coming.
Thanks for the enlightenment.
We never took action.
Oh, we didn't.
Not coming.
Do we want to move on to the other two, just to get some feedback on those, Phil? I've got to leave it 2, I've got a 3 up north.
However you guys want to proceed. I could always hold that and I could take out that provision.
I mean, is that something that, would you refer this over to the Secretary of State's office to address Catherine's issue here? Not only her issue.
No,
but-
because they'd refer it right back to me. That's your responsibility.
Yeah, good.
That's fun.
Or should we
I mean, I mean, if we want to just leave it as, I mean, I'm just saying that one paragraph we could take out, if we wanted to take that. That's reasonable.
here's my suggestion, say you take it out, but that we put this on the agenda for next time so that commission members can figure out.
Okay, that sounds good. Do we want to do those with the other 2 as well?
The other two don't have that issue.
Get the comments on them and then.
That's fine. I'm game, I mean, certainly the numbers can be changed. That's
Sure.
not that big of a deal. I just, that was the way I considered it originally. But then we can always subsequently.
All right, well,
You could adopt them as is and figure we're gonna get back to the 3 anyway. It's a little out of the ordinary for us, but I'll leave that up to you guys as to how you work this big. I don't care. So whatever you guys can do.
Well, I just heard Chair Kreitz say he has to leave at 2, right? We still have 2 more of these to consider, and we still have the executive directors.
I'd rather do the executive,
Yeah.
go to the executive session, get that done. It's been over 2 years now since we've done that. That's my preference. But so that's the commission feel.
My understanding is we're gonna have a pretty full docket next time.
Yeah.
We want to start at 9.
Yes.
Right, agenda, you said that.
You're killing me.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to-
That's right to the end, yeah, that's right to the end, where I get every ounce of that.
You're not sure that's the end.
Ooh, that'd be nice. Okay, well then let's do that. Let's go ahead and
Tabling.
table these three.
Okay.
All right, and then we'll do the executive session. I'll entertain a motion that we enter into executive session under Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1 for the purpose of discussing compensation and employment issues with the executive director / staff.
Before we do that, can I just bring up one more thing, which is our deliberations on the Hicks versus Freeman? Have we had any further discussion among council or commission on that?
No, and but I'd prefer that not to come up right now because it's not on the agenda.
Okay,
Okay. So will anybody make that motion?
I move that we move into executive session.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Behind me, you're going so fast.
Commissioner Norman.
Mr. Brummer,
Yes.
Ms. Kaufman,
Yes.
Ms. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Beatty,
Yes.
Mr. Norman,
Yes.
Chair Kreitz.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Okay.
Now I'll recuse myself.
Not yet.
Do we need,
Okay, what we need to do is note the time for the record that we've entered into executive session, make sure that
1:34.
Sandy, you and Chris will be excused. We're gonna need you because we have to come back into public session to be able to close. So if you want to go out there and do whatever people that are recused do, that'd be great.
we also need to move to dismiss Ms. Tavares when we get back to.
That's correct.
Bill, did you give us something in writing? Before, I had all my stuff, and I did not find it anywhere.
Video and audio are off, right?
I'm doing that right now.
You,
Chris.
Vote in executive session.
Oh, correct.
Okay, so we're back on the record.
Details.
All right, yeah. Details of details.
and we know. 'cause-
We're returning from executive session. We had an opportunity to go ahead and have some discussion with the executive director, and then we had some conversation on our own about possible compensation. Is there anybody that wants to make any kind of recommendation or have some discussion about additional compensation for the executive director?
Scott.
Obviously, nobody does.
Scott does.
Well,
Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I believe that a 10% increase is appropriate for the executive director.
Okay. Obviously, we've been very pleased with your performance. I think that's merited. I think also the fact it's been 2.5 years since you received one. I think that's also a factor we considered. And quite frankly, I think we all looked at what you were making and we feel that you're worth a lot more than that, but that's something that we really can't take it. We have to take it incrementally, if you know what I mean. So,
Thanks.
so, okay.
Greatly appreciate it.
Do we have a motion then to that effect?
I make that motion that the executive director's pay increases by 10%.
Second.
We have a second. Motion a second to increase the executive increasing the executive director's compensation by 10% for the discussion on the issue. If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate everything you
Thank
do.
you all very much. I greatly appreciate it. It has been an absolute pleasure to continue to work here.
And we can go ahead and put the three advisory opinions on.
They'll be on the next agenda. Yep.
We want to start at 9? Next agenda.
Dennis did
What
not.
do you think, Dennis?
I don't care. Let's start at 9.
Why not start at 8?
Exactly.
What the heck?
Well, before we.
I'm all right with 9.
I would move to excuse Ms. Tavares from today's hearing.
Thank you very much.
I second that.
We have a second. All right, so we have a motion that's been duly seconded that would excuse Ms. Tavares. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And I think the last thing, is there anything else?
So do we decide on 9 or not?
Yeah, 9's fine. I don't.
Nice.
Do we want to try and do, will we get to be able to do lunch next time? If we start at 9?
That we've got decent number of cases on
So
the
now-
agenda. So it, I guess if we want to play it fast and loose, then I'd say let's potentially do it, if it's possible, do it, but I just.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
One thing I will add, just as I have
Can
not
you make
looked,
this short?
no.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what is included in the memo, but I gave a memo from Caitlin Nezelroth Johnson from the Attorney General's office, who I've been going back and forth with on the matter of deliberations. I have not looked at the memo. I will circulate it to everybody, but her note is, Phil, per your request, an informal legal memo on the deliberation issue is attached. We recommend that the commission deliberation remain public meetings and that you not issue the proposed order, which I did this morning. Please feel free to give me a call to discuss it anytime. That's their opinion.
Okay,
I have not looked at the memo. I will look at it and we'll circulate it. We can discuss it in more detail. I figure we'll wait to see what comes back, if anything comes back from those parties. Mr. Hicks, Mr. Fry, and potentially move forward from there.
okay, so if we have to issue an opinion, sorry, Mr. Grayson.
Yeah, I'm going to leave. Before I leave,
Okay. Well,
wait a minute, we're gonna have lunch together, okay? But I'm Paula Bromer, okay, and so we're not gonna have it for 2 years. From now on, whenever we have anything that's canceled around the holidays, it'll be known as the Dennis Bromer event. Okay, so, but
Okay.
Otto, do better next
small little
year.
gift, which is a token of our appreciation for
Thank you
everything
very much.
you two of you guys do for us.
Bringing us back table.
You're already, you're already.
Rather
there.
than just meeting,
Perfect.
I'll
I love it.
discuss how we work.
I mean, you had good snacks, so.
Okay.
I'll get out of here.
Have the vice chair take over for a sec.
Yeah, that's fine.
For what? This last little part?
Yeah, I can't be here for the.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
See ya.
You know, right, you can't.
Yeah.
That's right.
See ya, 9 o'clock in
He's
2
got it.
weeks.
9
What if
o'clock.
you get
9
the
o'clock.
cars because of the supply chain issues in this country? To allow you.
Spend it.
The earlier the better, even if we don't get anything back.
Well, anyway, we have 13 days between now and our next meeting. And I'm concerned because we haven't established when we're all going to get together via Microsoft Teams to discuss this.
It sounds like we're not going to.
Well, are we or aren't we? I mean,
Or we have a special meeting,
We
They
have a
make it
special
a
meeting.
public meeting, but it's on Microsoft Teams.
or we have a public meeting after our last meeting, which gives you 2 days to put out the thing. And
It would give me less than 2 days, because if we're meeting on the 16th and then doing it, I mean,
the opinion's due the 18th,
no later than the 18th.
no later.
Or we could potentially meet in the interim if everybody's available,
Right? Would be a special meeting date.
which would be, yeah, correct.
Live. If we're gonna meet live, we're gonna have to probably have a special meeting date. That's what
And
I'm
that could
saying.
be at 9 o'clock as well, if we wanted to do that.
6.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Maybe I shouldn't have, I could.
Can we do a special teams meeting?
That's what I thought, yeah.
Based on what they're saying,
The AG
and I've had,
no.
the AG is saying no. And the reason primarily behind that is, as Don's pointed out and as Caitlin looked at it, if you look at the interplay between, was it 3517-152 G2, I think, that says our meetings and hearings are subject to the Open Meetings Act, and the fact that 3517-157 F1, E1,
Well, we can read the opinion. but
Right.
The bottom line is they're saying don't do it.
right. So we don't do it.
So that means we've got to figure out a date and time
Right,
to meet. Right?
potentially, yes. And,
And we're all sitting here with our calendars right now and it's a screw.
well,
And
except
so,
one of us is missing, so.
Yeah,
right.
or we circulate.
She
it.
doesn't do her calendar anyways, doesn't matter if she's not.
Really.
I mean, I'm not trying to funny, that's just how
Yeah.
some people operate.
Right,
Yeah, she always says, I don't know.
Right.
somebody in her office is doing it, so.
I'll throw one out there then. We'll potentially do next Thursday.
Oh, I can't do next Thursday.
And realize, I'm not saying it has to be that, it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, gotta start somewhere, so I threw it out there.
And this would be a live meeting here.
I think that's
I've
probably
got
the way
like
we should proceed.
3 things.
All right, well then, since you're saying no, what fits your schedule.
Mhm.
I mean, because one of the other thing is, as it relates to you two, not that you'd want to spend the night here. We could always do it the 15th.
Mm.
And then
One
you're
trip.
here, you know, then it's only one trip. I appreciate that, you know.
I'm not opposed to that. I
You
mean,
know.
that, we talked about people spending the night and maybe being frivolous, but this I don't think would be a frivolous.
No.
Overnight.
No, the first couple of commissions, people regularly came down the night before a commission meeting and then we're here.
I know when my husband was on
You
the,
know, so that's, you know, that's
Whatever
all
he-
part of it. Is
spent the night.
So do it when, like, Wednesday afternoon.
Well, if we're gonna start on the 16th at 9. I mean, what if we say 8:45? How much time do we think we're going to need to deliberate this?
Well, you have to issue a written opinion. Someone's got to write that, and that gives him,
He needs a little lead time to write the opinion.
and the opinion is, there's one business day to get it done.
I think what really, in fairness, if we're gonna meet to do that, it's gotta be next week, because that gives him at least some time to put it together.
So are you guys talking morning? Is that morning what's best for everybody or?
Doesn't matter to me.
Mine just depends on the day. I'm looking at Tuesday, the 7th, and I'm wide open on that day.
I am as
Harvard.
well.
Me too.
Hold on. let me get
Makes
to that.
That's my son's birthday, but I'll be more than happy to drive down.
Well, we can do it, I can do it the 8th.
No, my son lives in eastern Pennsylvania, so.
It's on your way.
Yeah, almost.
I could do the 7th.
I'm also available on the 8th all day. I got a mediation, looks like it's gonna get settled.
The 8th is no good for me.
I had a hearing, I
I've
had
got
a
it.
trial started Monday and it canceled, so I'm good.
Yeah.
He's done it so far.
Looks like the 7th is gonna be our best bet.
And could we not do it at 9 or
We
8?
can do it anytime we want.
do it at 1.
Maybe we could have our Christmas lunch then.
There you go.
Mike won't be here.
Oh, yeah.
He can come for lunch.
She could come for lunch.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say,
Works down-
lunch right here while we sit and talk about it.
You can eat in the hall. No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. That's
All right,
Are
so,
we gonna do the 7th?
yeah, somebody should get a hold of Shirley to make sure she can do it.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, once we get done here, I'll email Christine, her assistant.
And she
Is there-
can't, then what?
Yeah, that's my,
Do you,
that was my
do you
next.
want me to try to give her a quick call? I can pull up the email, I
Well, I
believe.
noticed she emailed, let me see.
It'd be good to know right
Because
now.
I can.
I'm also,
What do you guys want?
I'm also open all day on the 6th, which is that Monday.
Hold on.
I'm not.
That's where I'm not available.
Okay.
I mean, I'm available certain times on the 6th, but I just went back and forth this with my lawyer.
And so we'll be on the record then. This will be an
It
official.
will
yes.
be, it'll be, well, yes, there won't be any public comment, but we, public,
So will they be able to attend if they would like?
anybody can.
So do you
Yes,
think
but
they will
Mr.
attend?
Hicks, well, I don't know, Mr. Hicks is going to Florida because he had another matter that I continue
He'll
from
be
the
here.
16th on into the future.
So what time?
I'm
next
good.
day?
Calling about Charlita's
I don't care.
schedule. Do you have that? You're the keeper of the,
Dennis, what can you like?
of the schedule. I
That's
think.
just gonna say, what about 11?
Okay, well, we're here discussing, having another meeting to go into deliberations on the Hicks versus Freeman matter that we concluded from the last time. And we're looking at having a meeting on the
Emergency meeting.
7th.
At 11 a.m.
What is-
At 11 a.m.
Emergency meeting,
Is she available?
11 a.m.
special emergency, yeah.
She is. All right, well then put it on her
For how
calendar.
long? How long do you have available?
Is she available through the rest of the day or
We only need an hour.
Or lunch.
lunch? Okay, yeah, put it on her schedule. We'll figure out timing, but okay, I was just calling to see if she was available then, because everybody else seems to think that works for them as opposed to other dates, and so we figured we'd go ahead and get her online. Thank
Okay,
you much.
sounds like we're on.
Appreciate it. And you'll be getting hold the rest of the day. As we'll, as we figure out how long it's gonna take us, I'll try to give you a better heads up on.
11, start at 11.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. Bye. Okay. She's available all day. We've now got it all day and we can always go. But anyway,
Okay.
11 o'clock on the 7th.
we can have it in here, but we could actually also have it at a conference table or somewhere else. Doesn't have to be in this room.
Right,
Do we need a reporter?
yes,
Public meeting.
yeah, it's a public meeting. Yep.
Or do we want to have lunch by then? We can all contribute.
We could, I could arrange that. We can invite Mike.
No, I don't mean a holiday lunch, I mean a working lunch, like Scott says. Or either bring your lunch with you, maybe.
I'm not bringing my lunch. I'm gonna be driving from
Okay.
Timbuktu.
I can get pizza. Whatever everybody wants,
Find food.
we can find food.
Okay.
We'll have
I
it.
mean, I will bring my lunch if I have to.
No, you don't have to.
We'll have it,
Put
we'll
it in
have
a
it
bag, you're
somewhere
gonna have a
here.
lunchbox.
I have a lunch
We'll
box.
just need to see what's available.
Yeah, I will send everyone an email as soon as I talk to building management and see what room's available. If it's gonna be this room or
Right.
Because it honestly can be in just a conference room, because
a smaller room.
you can, absolutely, because nobody's gonna be entitled to talk. And normally when I have meetings like that, they can sit in the back. You know,
Right,
you let them sit, chair in the back if they want
You know what
to.
they could do is just walk down to the Potbellies and bring it, get it stuff.
Oh, I do love
Yeah.
Potbelly.
It's right next door.
Yeah.
Just have them.
Now, here's my second question. Do we have to be fancy or can we be like a little more business casual?
You'll be on
Listen.
video, but business casual's fine.
Okay, I'm like, I'm just asking. I like to have all my bases covered, okay?
How do I answer that question?
I don't know.
Well, for us guys, I mean, like, are ties required or?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You guys always have
No,
on your
not
ties.
really. I always do regardless, anytime I have commission meetings.
It's sort of my nature. Like I'm-
I always come this way. I have a tie in the back of my door hanging there, which one of the funnier things ever was when we had a probable cause panel meeting called last minute. Called Al Cincioni over from his, he had a plaid shirt on and my tie was a striped shirt.
I'm gonna take
I
that.
gotta wear a tie.
I'm gonna list that because that's for tonight.
It was a sight to behold right there. Anyway, all right.
Which is an
It's
about
7,
pay
11,
for the AG's office. Because they originally said you can do it.
Right, because they didn't, as even Caitlin is there, she apologized profusely for not necessarily recognizing the 3571. I'll take a little bit of credit for saying, I'm sure that's part of my original statement that we should always deliberate in public. I had forgotten about through the years because I always focused on 157, so you gotta be in a meeting. But there.
It says you can circulate it.
I
I
will,
guess,
Given the amount of.
I guess
it's not
unlike
there's
today-
a lot of Procedural error.
Mm-mm, no, gosh.
Mr. Bray would take the Phil Says argument. Take the Phil Says argument, unlike today.
that's right.
But Phil said, but.
What's your idea about this day as far as us sitting down? Is that going to be after the first of the year? Probably.
I could try to bring that back on the 16th. So that we're trying to keep it moving.
I've already heard today.
Yeah.
Well, we're not on it anyway, so
Right,
make it ever come down.
yeah. Maybe that's what
I just wondered, I
The
mean.
other thing, we don't have anything else really on the 13th at this point, and there probably won't be anything else. Well, I was
Don't put anything else on the 13th. Is that what we're meeting? What's the 13th?
That's
13th of
January.
January,
Oh, never mind.
13th of January. I was
I guess
contemplating
we might-
using that as a possibility for doing interviews for independent.
Okay.
Just FYI.
So you will stay on until your replacements are named,
Till
though,
the end of
right?
February.
Oh.
No longer than the end of February or earlier if a replacement is.
Correct.
So our last date is February.
No, March 1. actually.
March 1.
You have to go back to Florida.
We'll be back there for the 13th.
Yeah, some people, no matter how much you try, some people, it's just always difficult. Always difficult.
No matter
Take it
the
out
matter,
on the Saturday.
is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Aye.
I do have this question.
Uh-oh.
This is.
Hold on,
This is.
all in favor of adjourning?
Is it-
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
I think that, is the lunch really over at serving?
I don't know that answer.
Okay.
I know for me it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but listen, you know how
You feel like
you
your belly's.
have an appointment to go to a restaurant or whatever, you start thinking about what you're going to have there.
Yeah, and you were
Okay,
ready.
in
You were
your
ready.
mind, like thinking about.
Auto
what
was
you're gonna
ready.
have it.
What was in your mind?
We only did
I
one.
like those bowls that they have.
Uh-oh.
They're really good.
So does my daughter.
Yeah.
The good news is next year you'll be chairman. You can take everyone over there.
Wow.
I like those bowls that they have.
What was still made?
Not that I can't have it anytime, but on my mind for today.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna try it again for the 16th if we can.
Well, I can eat it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's something I like.
Yeah,
Well, my daughter's vegan, so I get it.
that's tough.
All right.
I guess it's gonna be my own standby to Chick-fil-A.
I understand.
I know.
Green.
I know. A lot of beans, a lot of beans.
Doesn't work